All right, the wait is over. Episode 33 of the Good Enough podcast. I'm Pete Arneson, joined by Jason Arens and Garrett Jurich, and we've missed a fair amount. I mean, there's been
We're taking a hiatus for sure.
yeah.
We've been busy. I think I was just counting, and so I believe our last recording, I had just gotten back from China, and since then I've been to 9 countries. Um, Most recently concluding with going back to China again. So
So yeah, it's been a busy season for us, Jason, mainly with traveling. Myself still trying to figure out setting up some sort of recording in our new spot, which isn't new anymore. We've been here for 6 months. Um,
we didn't realize how bad the people needed us, and
that's a fact.
that's what's being told to me lately is how bad people need us.
And we're hot in the contest season. We've knocked a few off so far, quite a few actually. And I think we're just gonna kind of run through, catch up on what we've missed, and then kind of jump into where we're at right now. We just finished qualifying for the Copper Grand Prix, the World Cup of Copper. But let's jump into what we've missed before that, which I think we started things off with. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Secret Garden Big Air.
So we didn't even cover Stubai. That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stubai, not much to cover there. That contest, I was out there for it, and starting the year off strong with another weather-affected contest where we actually didn't get to run any portion of the men's contest. Luckily, we were able to get the women's qualifier off, which was pretty much the saving grace of the contest because I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have gotten a single result out of that contest. We were there. The weather was absolutely beautiful for weeks leading up to the World Cup, and then just as usual, you schedule a World Cup and the weather is going to come in. So went off the women's qualifying result, so it wasn't really get to see a full on slopestyle contest to start the season. Now we got to wait until Aspen for the first actual one, and some big names not in attendance. Tesla do not there. Still kind of nursing a head injury from last year, and Eileen Gu showing up for the first slopestyle of the year, but not able to put down either of her runs in qualifying, despite going for something pretty big. She was starting out a run with a dub 10 blunt, which we haven't seen before, but just couldn't make it even halfway through the course. So even if we had finals, she wasn't going to make it. Megan Oldham finishing just off the podium in fourth, and Ani Karava in third. Olivia Oslin in second, which really cool to see her skiing so well in slope styles, and hoping to see some more out of her this year. She's got some really nice style and really brings a lot of flavor to the rail sections of these courses. But Mathilde really came out and dominated that qualifier and was looking really strong had that event moved into a finals. But that's kind of the way she goes in an outdoor winter sport. You can't really depend on the weather to play ball. But that was the story of the first slope style of the year, with that being majorly affected by weather and having to get shut down because immediately after that contest, everyone had to head right over to China for the first World Cup Big Air of the year, and with such a tight schedule, we did Stubai into Secret Garden Big Air, followed by Beijing Big Air, which also was the exact same time frame as the first Snow League halfpipe event. So two events in China at the same time, completely unrelated. One in Beijing for the Big Air, one in Secret Garden for the halfpipe, which then bumped into the next week where the Big Air and Slope Riders went to Steamboat, and the halfpipe riders stayed in China for a Secret Garden World Cup. Those ended on the same time, and then now we're dealing with the last event in that time frame before Christmas, being the Copper World Cup, which just did qualifying today.
It's just yeah, it's so crazy to me that like these Olympic qualifying years, it's like we gotta pack all this shit in. But I mean, if you get one minor injury, let's say you get a bruised heel in the first comp of the year, you're screwed trying to qualify for the Olympics. I mean, you have to, I guess, work through it or whatever. And we've seen that in the past with knee injuries, and it's like, well, I'm just going for it still. And but it's such a tight schedule, and it doesn't seem favorable for the athletes at all.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule's so tight, and I mean, to say it is tight, however, if you look at the schedule, what else are you gonna do? Like, every single week pretty much before February is occupied from the end of November onward, and it's not like all of the riders are competing every week, but the 3-week stretch for the big air guys, that was really that was really wild, and, I mean, coming off the slopestyle, granted that didn't happen, but then going into 3 straight weeks of big air, that's pretty intense, and we're seeing some injuries start to play some factors in these contests, as well as, I mean, half pipe specifically, when we get to talking about Snow League, but Nick Gepper took a crash in that first event, Snow League, which is not an Olympic qualifying event, and that, I mean, just based on the timeline, when he went down, I was very nervous as to his ability to get back up and keep skiing in this very tight competitive timeline for which, like, they had Secret Garden Half Pipe World Cup, then they go straight into Copper, then there's the Christmas break, literally just the week of Christmas, because by New Year's, they'll be in Calgary competing, and then the 4th and final event happening immediately after that in Aspen. So
I keep forgetting about Calgary, like, shoved in it on New Year's, like,
on New
it's
Year's, yeah,
what a trip. Well, let's jump into what we missed, before we get too caught up in everything. So again, you went over Stubai, which again, I forgot about because only the women's qualies happened. So in the
we had a beautiful time in Dubai, just not too much skiing or, contest, happening.
so on an Olympic qualifying year, you lose a qualifying event. I mean, that could seriously affect a lot of people's bids to try to get on these teams, especially the slopestyle big air team because it is combined.
Absolutely, and also some of these teams have different prerequisites as to what the qualifying events are. So different countries have decided that different contests actually matter. Some nations have their teams set, but like for the US, for example, there were 5 qualifying events, the first of which being Dubai, and that being canceled kind of leveled the playing field in terms of it was supposed to be 2 big air events, the Secret Garden Big Air and the Steamboat Big Air, counting towards the US qualification, and 3 slopestyle, Stubai, Aspen, and Locks. So when you cut out Stubai, it's level. There's 2 and 2, only 4 events for these riders to make the team. And on the US men's side, specifically for slopestyle, only Alex Hall is safe. He qualified in last year, so he's got his spot set. So that means 3 need to do well enough to prove their spot, and that's the grinder that we're in right now for the team qualifications. But I guess too, before jumping into that, because that's a bit interesting to talk about, we can kind of go over these first couple contests.
Yeah.
Um, First of which being the Secret Garden Big Air that happened. First time they've done a Big Air in Secret Garden, and the jump was actually really nice looking. I don't know how much of the footage you 2 were able to catch from that one. I know the time frames for watching these contests is darn near impossible when you got a big air happening in China. I happened to be traveling throughout the finals day, so just like keeping updated whenever I could. But on the women's side, again, another contest without Tesla do, without Eileen showing up for this one, and Mathilde not making finals in this event. She just looked like she didn't quite get her tricks down in the qualifier and didn't make the cut moving into finals, which left kind of the field wide open. And Mingting Liu in 3rd place in China, skiing super well this year. She's just kind of got her dub 10s and 12s mirrored in both directions with safety grabs. You can really tell that she's been getting very comfortable on these jumps and probably spent a bit of time on that jump prior to the contest. And another big happening this year in the contest season is kind of the emergence of Naomi Ernest, the Canadian skier who I had only seen like briefly in a couple contests last year and have like known about her from the NORAM circuit over the recent years, but she has had quite the early season with a 2nd place finish at this, first podium at a World Cup event, and just starting her qualifying period off really strong. She's got a really strong right double 10, and then she's been competing with a a switch bio 10 as well. So a nice combination, but obviously still we're not seeing a lot of 14s, 16s, and 12s in these early stage contests in the season. But Kirsty Moore, Kirsty Muir, uh, back off injury after coming back last year at the end of the season and just solidifying herself back in the scene with a first place finish. Her dub 14s are looking
Yeah.
really strong and just really smooth. So that's going to be a trick that I expect to see her competing quite a bit more. And it's just good to see her back after dealing with some injuries last season that held her out for a while.
Yeah, it seemed like she paced herself coming back in the last few events too, I think. Like, she did she do the last event last season, was it?
She competed in teen last year and won slopestyle in teen, but it did seem like she was kind of pacing herself and trying
Yeah.
not to come back too quickly, which I think is for the best. You know, these knee injuries can set you back so far, and the last thing you want to do after getting a knee injury is come right back too early and get another knee injury.
Yeah.
It looks like she took enough time off, and she's skiing really well. I expect to see more of her, and she's one of those girls that um, she'll be in the mix. Even
Yeah.
once you have the all of the girls who have been so dominant in recent years skiing at their best, she'll be in the mix in that pack. So I'm excited to see her back on snow and crushing it.
And we can just cruise to the men's field. You had Luca Harrington in third, starting off the season. I didn't watch, so if you have any
Yeah, I mean
opinions on
this
this,
contest to highlight the men's contest. This contest was nuts. However, the qualifying was way crazier than the final.
it seems to be a trend this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, seemingly so. The qualifier went nuts. I mean, we were seeing multiple athletes did 21s. I think we were seeing 19s and 18s way down the list in like 20th place in this contest. So that's just speaking to the level of this sport right now. Just off the podium in this one was Mac Forehand, who had did the switch trip 21 in qualifying, which was just absurd. And also Matt Roach, who you might remember from a couple of the contests last year, but he's coming on strong to the scene. He qualified first with a nose butter trip 19.
Yep.
But just wasn't really able to put it down in finals. So two of the craziest tricks happening in qualifying between Matt Roach and Matt Forehand, and neither of them ending up on the podium. Luca Harrington kind of so dominant last year, coming right back in with those switch triples with Esco, now taking it to 18 pretty regularly, as well as incorporating his right triple 19 into the mix. Just kind of standard Lucas skiing, enough for a third place here. We'll see what he's got. He definitely, from videos that I know we've seen this summer, he's got something in the tank that he's holding on to for maybe a little bit later in the season that I think might change the game a little bit. Dylan Deschamps in second place in this one, just skiing really strong. His big air ability is just right up there. I haven't seen him do too many slope contests, but um, his switch double bios, switch triple bios, and forward triple 18s are just kind of on lock right now, and that really seems to be holding him in there. But again, U.S. qualifying situation, this contest counting for them, and T-Pod coming out swinging with a first place to start the season and really help his case in terms of making the U.S. team. Switch triple 19 safety and Ford trip 21 mute. Just two hammers in terms of big air contest. It's going to be he's going to be a major player going into this year, specifically in the big air scene. So that was the Secret Garden big air, but which they didn't really get much time to breathe after that before heading right over to Beijing. Although Beijing seemed to have kind of a completely different cast of characters that showed up.
Okay, I have 2 questions before we go there.
Yeah, yeah,
Matt Roach, is that the French kid?
yes,
Matthias?
sir.
Okay.
Matthias Roche,
Matthias Roach. I was like, Matt Roach. Like,
Matt Roche.
who's this American kid? Matt Roach. And then, yeah, it clicked to me there.
Yeah, yeah, new
Um,
French kid.
and then the other thing I noticed, and we can get to this more later, but it seems like the push this year is the bigger spins as opposed to some of the lock tricks, some of the rewind tricks as much. Is that something you notice as well?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it kind of. swings back and forth. There are still a lot of people that are trying to push those pullbacks and lock rotations. However, it does seem that it's hard to compete against 19s and
Yeah.
21s with any version of a pullback or lock because they've kind of, unless they're figuring out something new, those tricks have kind of already found their position, if you will, within the hierarchy of how we've ranked these tricks in the past. So we are seeing people start to experiment with other versions of those that they think might better compete against 18s, 19s, and 21s. But it really does seem like we're just seeing an unparalleled amount of spinning happening this
Yeah.
year, and we're seeing a
Whereas
another
a
like
variety of grabs and all those spins too,
Yeah.
right? It's like
True.
they're jumping up to a variety of grabs now in that higher degree of spinning, which is sick.
Yeah, and it's just interesting. It seems like the last 2 years, the lock tricks, the bring back tricks were very competitive with the 18s. That sort of I mean, it was hand in hand almost. And now it seems like everyone is really pushing 19s, 21s, and the spin to win is kind of in this year a little bit more.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it just seems kind of like the pullbacks and everything were compared against 16s and 18s as those have been done in recent years, and through doing that, we saw where they compared to and what elements of those bringbacks and locks that we were actually rewarding. And then as the rotations have jumped up as to what's possible, I think that a lot of people are uncertain as to how a bring back 12 or
Yeah.
switch bring back 10 is going to stack up. And ultimately, we as judges need to give credit for these tricks when they incorporate so much risk and difficulty. I mean, I've for years we were seeing a lot more experimentation with the double cork rotations and just kind of maxing the spins out in that direction. And now we're really seeing the triple corks being unlocked in a way where it just seems everyone's so confident in doing these triples, and to not give credit to a properly done trip 18 is just not understanding the level of
Yeah.
difficulty and risk
That's
that
fair.
goes into something like that. So I think we're in for a really heavy big air year from top to bottom, and
Do you wanna stick with Big Air and go to Beijing, or do you wanna go is it chronologically technically going to Snow League, or is it at the same exact time?
this would be the exact same time would be the Beijing big airs. So maybe we'll stick through the big airs right now
Okay.
and cap off the big airs before getting into half pipe because that's the most fresh on my mind. I've spent the majority of the last 3 weeks adjacent to a half pipe. So now, yeah, going into Beijing, and this one again, the qualifying criteria is definitely affecting who's showing up to these contests. Most notably, this contest there were none of the primary US riders that you're seeing in these contests. If there were US skiers in this Beijing event, they were ones that maybe are less common to see on the World Cup circuit. Naomi Ernest coming out again, 2 for 2 in the big airs this season with a third place finish on the Beijing jump. And this Beijing jump, obviously, that we've been seeing since prior to the Olympics, the one that the last Olympics in 2022 was hosted on. So everyone's pretty well familiar with that jump. Naomi and Mingting Lu swapping places in this one. Last one, second, third. This one, third, second. Her coming in second place in this, unlocking her very own double 14, which we've seen glimpses of in the past, but haven't seen done too consistently. And then almost a surprise finish, but I guess not too much of a surprise for anyone that's been watching the way she's skiing over recent years. But Ani Karava in first in this one. She's just skiing so well. Her dub 10 mute is so fun to watch and just separates herself so much from some of these safety Cindy grabs that we're seeing out of many of the competitors doing doubles. So Ani coming in and establishing herself as a threat in big air, not just slope style, as I uh, previously had been watching for her mainly in the slope style, but doing really well in this big air. And then again, going over into the men's side, another crazy qualifier with just so much going on. And one of the big talking points from qualifiers and falling just off the podium was Frank Wallstrom, who's I want to say he's 15 or
I
16 and
think he's 15, yeah.
skiing for Norway, just going absolutely nuts in this contest. I believe he qualified first into finals
Yep.
and then to get fourth in I think his first World Cup. I'm not sure if he did the Secret Garden one because I didn't see him He didn't make finals in that one at the very least, but just to show how deep this competitive pool is for these skiers, that somebody that's 15 years old and just breaking into the circuit can qualify first and is doing all of the same tricks as anyone else in this contest. Nose butter trip 19 from him, as
Which
well
was
as switch
nuts.
triples 18. Airbags are really pushing this generation quickly.
Big big shout out to Frank. He followed me on Instagram this week. So
Oh,
what's up?
sick.
What's up,
That
Frank?
big moves, Frank.
Yeah, yeah, smart move, Frank. We're still good enough. Still big in Norway.
Still super relevant, relevant everywhere, pretty much. I know. Again, people were asking for this, dude.
Global.
People miss this. Um, Third place in his first contest of the season, skipping Stu by and the Secret Garden Big Air, was Matej Sponsor. He's always someone to watch in the Big Air circuit. I believe he's been nursing some injuries off and on, and I I'm curious to see again, like with the Olympics coming up, you're seeing a lot of these skiers playing strategically, which events they're showing up to, what they're trying at these events. But Matej is somebody that I think is going to be pushing really hard to be fighting for a spot on that podium in February. So great to see him skiing. It had been a while since he had been on snow. I think the last contest we saw him at was Quebec last year when he won. Or no, he did ski in teen afterwards.
Yeah.
Sorry. But great to see him skiing again, and curious to see what contest he's going to do leading up to February. Luca Harrington, 2 for 2 on the podiums. Again, another triple 19 safety and switch trip 18 Esco. Just kind of always keeping him relevant in that contest. But then
Yeah,
another,
it's funny how those are just stock tricks for him. It's just like, oh yeah, you know exactly
it's
what he's gonna do. Put him down, podium tricks. Yeah, just
I
chill.
mean, last year he was just kind of running away with those
Yeah.
tricks as to the complication of them. But now I think some other people are playing in similar areas, but still that Esco is
It's nuts.
that's a
Yeah.
hard grab,
It
especially to doing that trick. And the thing that makes that trick different for him when he does it is he gets the grab immediately. And if you're watching a lot of these skiers, maybe not the ones in finals, but the ones in qualifying, the thing that separates them in switch triple 18s and switch triple 19s is a lot of them you see them start to grab at 9.
I
When
would say
pretty much
it's like switch 9 to okay, here we go. Like it's
exactly.
full dumpster
Yeah,
into it.
they're wrapping a switch 9 and then they dump a dub 9 with a grab. And so I mean, not to take anything away from that. That's crazy. We're not doing that. But at the same time,
Nope.
when Luca's doing this, he's locking into the grab at 270, 360, and a grab that's so across body and difficult to hold, and then just holding it to the very end, letting go super chill, bringing it around to switch. And I guess we alluded to it, so he posted it on Instagram, so it's no secret to anyone. But I saw a video of him doing the switch trip 19 Esco, for which his rotation is essentially switch 5, 7, 7. Um, that's gonna be really tough to compete against.
Yeah.
And then just I mean, coming around forward in a switch trip 19, how long is it going to take him to take it to 21? And
Yep.
is this the year that we're seeing everyone on a podium doing 21s? I think so. I mean, if the qualification at Secret Garden had been any indication of that, I think that's exactly what we're going to see. But the biggest surprise from this contest, and I guess if you've been following the scene for a while, this might not be surprising at all. But when I opened my phone and saw this result, Ulrich Samnoy in first place in this contest, um, I was shook. And granted, we were judging Snow League Snow League Halfpipe finals at the exact same time as this final was going on, so we didn't get to watch it. We were just kind of getting updates after the fact. But Ulrich skiing out of his mind there, and just from talking to the judges in this contest, his tricks were not too different from the tricks that were finishing just below him in this contest. Switch triple 18 and forward trip 19, both grabbing safety and then kind of with the late Indy truck, putting his hand on the inside edge in the last portion of the rotation. But from talking to the judges at this contest, the thing that separated Ulrich was he was going head and shoulders bigger than everybody on the jump. They were right parallel with the skiers as they're going over, and they said he was a full meter for the Americans listening, 3 feet ish, over the trajectory of all the other skiers, and that just kind of was the deciding factor. It's a big air, you gotta reward the person that's jumping out of their boots.
Yep. Love the amplitude. Well, I didn't watch that contest at all, like you were saying. You were obviously actually working, but I was watching Snow League. And mainly, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. Yeah, it was the first time skiers being in Snow League, in China as well. Got to watch you the day before being the starter for snowboard, Jason.
Just
Which was
considering a
pretty
total
sick.
career change, I
Yeah.
mean, I just did so good as a starter. I don't even think they really need me as a judge anymore.
How many like fist bumps did you go for?
I didn't touch anyone, to be honest. Like
Oh, damn it.
that was maybe my biggest mistake, but I didn't want to be the guy that was getting all up in their personal space. So I guess backstory for this, cause to not just seem like I stumbled. I guess I did stumble my way into it. Prior to the contest, they lost a couple snowboard judges because of uh, personal reasons and injuries. So one of the starter hired for the event is an Olympic snowboard judge. So he got pulled into the judges booth, so they lost the starter. And Sandy McDonald, who's the contest director for the Snow League, that's hired me and all the ski judges onto this exciting new event, needed a favor and asked if I would be able to jump in as the snowboard starter. So for the snowboard qualifying day and the snowboard final day, I got to stand up there and wear my full Snow League kit and talk to Kat Leonidas in the production.
Yeah, big shout out to Cat Leonidas.
Big shout out to Kat. She really showed me the ropes. I was really nervous to be the starter. I didn't want to mess up. So I'm glad it went well. Got to be really close to yes.
I thought for sure you'd at least go for Ayumu fist bump. Like
Ayuma was the
someday.
fist bump I probably wanted the most,
Yeah.
but
I guarantee he would have given it to you.
I don't know, dude. He really I don't think he wanted to talk to me at all. I think
He could smell skier on you. He's like, what
well,
is
it's
that down here?
I mean, and like this is a completely different situation, but like so in my capacity as the starter for the snowboard contest, I was also technically the starter for the ski practice, and it's two completely different worlds. When the skiers showed up, I know everyone. I that those are the people I talk to every day. Everyone also speaks English. And with the snowboarders, the language barrier is real. I mean, 60, 70% of the top riders are Japanese,
Yeah.
and most of which they can speak English when they need to, but they don't need to talk to me, nor do they probably want to. So I just was letting them do their thing. I was talking to a lot of the coaches though. That was pretty fun. The snowboard coaches are a funny group, and
Yep.
with the amount of Japanese riders in that final, you can imagine how much I was standing next to the Japanese head halfpipe coach because he was just running back and forth, getting winded, trying to keep up on all of his riders competing against one another.
So judging it, what did you think about the format? I mean, personally watching it, it was a long show. I mean, it was a 5+ hour show, and it to me seemed like too many runs potentially for someone in one day. Even on the minimum end, it seemed like too many runs.
I mean, first and foremost, the event was awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it was so cool. The attention to detail they put into making everyone comfortable and making that event special. The format is going to be an adjustment no matter what. I mean, it's going to take people some time to learn that, but the base level is that it's a lot of runs. Like that you could end up doing 9 top to bottom like at your peak full poles in a day if you go to 3 rounds in the qualifying. That's a lot of skiing for any of
yeah.
these riders. The format is really cool, specifically from a judging perspective, because you're just comparing A versus B. There's a winner and there's a loser, and there's nothing else to really factor in other than the scores, for which, for the most point, they're arbitrary. But in the qualifying portion, the scores did have to line up just to be able to correctly seed the riders below fourth place. But once it gets into the semifinal and the final rounds, the scores are irrelevant. You're just looking at which of these two runs was better, which I thought was really fun and also just kind of created a completely different situation for these skiers. They're just skiing against an opponent. They're not trying to worry about what how this is going to score to see how it's going to stack up. And then also with the new rule with Snow League that maybe people weren't super familiar with, but you have to drop on both sides of the pipe in your first two runs. First run, you drop on one side. If you don't drop on the other side of the pipe on your next run, you're disqualified. And then third run, should it go to that, you drop on whichever side you go to your strongest run. But it really was interesting to see how it forced some of these skiers outside of their comfort zone. You do not see these skiers doing different runs. And from everyone in this contest, granted, 8 and 8, you had to see them figure out a different configuration of their run. And you also see them identifying one of their runs as their A run and one of their runs as their B run, so that when they're competing, if the person in front of them goes down on their A run, then that skier dropping in second has the advantage to maybe switch sides of the half pipe and then drop in for their B run, the run that they think has a capped potential as to how well it'll score. Um, just another contest dynamic that you don't see in a World Cup, or X Games or anything. It was really interesting to see these other.
Yeah, exactly. The qualifying, we obviously it wasn't broadcast. Were there more athletes that didn't make the cut?
So skiing doesn't have qualifying this year for
Okay.
Snow League.
Okay.
Snowboarding has qualifying. They have a field
Gotcha.
of, I think it's 20 and 16 maybe for women. So they have a full qualifier that system
Okay.
breaks down a little bit. This year on the introduction for skiing, there's no qualifier. Next year, there will be a ski qualifier in a much
Oh,
deeper
cool.
field. But this year is kind of just the test. So we just have 8 and 8. The riders jump right into the brackets. They were seated at a party or like banquet on the first night where they announced the brackets for the first time, which was also really funny because these skiers that have never had like direct competition, I mean, like they understand their sense of where they sit in the competitive ranking, but to see them getting paired up against these people and them having to kind of size up these skiers. I mean, this is Gus's first contest back, and Gus got paired against Finley Melville Ives in the beginning of this, for which Finn is on a tear. Look, world champs last year, one of the best half pipe runs I've ever seen, and for Gus to step in after a 4-year hiatus and then be paired up against Finn just felt cruel and unusual, but this is the nature of the contest. And then
Yeah.
ultimately, for Finn to end up not dropping because
Yep.
Finn was dealing with some injuries prior to the contest, and Gus getting a bye into the next round. I mean, I Gus wouldn't have put $1 on him making it past round one had Finn skied.
Granted, though, watching Gus's run in the second heat and doing both 14s, I was like, okay, like
Okay,
he
so
still got it.
with me saying that Gus wouldn't have bet on himself, like Gus is skiing out of his mind right now. And those runs that he put down in the Snow League were amazing and
They're insane.
proving that he still should be here. And I'm really stoked to see Gus skiing again. Funny thing about that contest, Gus skied 2 runs. Gus didn't win a single run. Gus got third place in the first snow.
Exactly. And I mean, he skied well though. I mean, if you look at everything, and then he skied well enough to be in the mix. Yes, he kind of ended up lucking into that position, but that's part of competitive skiing. Um,
Exactly.
how was ho yeah, exactly. How was the scoring different? Because I know that there were higher scores coming in for runs that maybe somebody fell on the last hit, which is similar to snowboarding, from what we've seen in the past where they give out a higher score for a crash score sometimes if the run's really good and ball is at
Yeah.
the end. Um,
So that's kind of the main difference in the scoring that we were dealing with in Snow League. And really the goal is to set up a crash score that doesn't okay. To take it a step back. In a World Cup or any other contest that you've seen competed in, if somebody lands on their feet, they're generally promised to score 30 or above. If somebody crashes, pretty much they're maxed out at 30. So then by theory, if somebody does a straight air run, they can beat the best run of the day crashed on the last hit. And that's what we wanted to avoid in Snow League.
right.
We do not want to give anyone a free pass where somebody tries a hammer run that would have been first place, then they crash on the last hit, giving the next skier the opportunity to just do fives and straight airs down the pipe and still win. So kind of those scores were just sending a bit of a message to the skiers that it doesn't matter whether or not they landed a run, you still have to put down something of consequence. Maybe you can back off one of the 12s, turn it to a 9, maybe one of the switch 10s, turn it into a 7, but still you have to put down a run of consequence. And that was really the conversation that was had prior to the contest, as well as the message that we are trying to convey, just to make sure that the contest is understood and fair to all in the way that they're approaching it, you know?
Well, it's a better show that way too. I mean, you don't. Yeah, it all makes sense. We can kind of jump through the podiums here. For the women's field, Li Fengwei in third, Keshin Zhang in second, and then Eileen. I I think having no, maybe I'm misspeaking, but having to do it on our last run.
Not there, no. So
That
Eileen,
was okay. Sorry.
the women's event again, another one that had a top competitor pull out due to illness in the qual or in the bracketed round. Zoe Atkins pulled out. She was unbelievably sick. I remember seeing her try to push through that morning and just really looked like she was having a tough time. And so she pulled out, which kind of changed the way the brackets were looking. And then this contest is also like the podiums end up different because people meet at different stages of the contest. Like the way they were skiing, you would have expected Li Fengwei to meet Eileen in the final. They were the two that had the strongest runs of the day, but they met in a previous round, forcing Li to the consolation bracket and Keshin making the final, for which I mean, skiing great for coming off of such a long injury hiatus, but Eileen really just asserting her dominance, really not even pulling out her full pull in that contest. She just was kind of cruising. Her nines are just on point. We have seen her completely sub out that switch three, so she's doing switch seven in place of her switch three in almost every contest.
Thank you.
It's awesome. I mean, it's like
God.
if you look at the women's field right now, it's clearly obvious how difficult the switch hits are at amplitude. And now with so many of them starting to ski confidently left and right switch with these tricks, it becomes something where I don't expect to see somebody with a switch three finishing on the podium in these contests with the level of
Okay,
difficulty we're seeing.
so on that note, you guys kind of got put on blast by Cassie Sharp for her score
You don't
with
say.
a run with a switch three, and she was in the first round against Eileen, so that was a tough pairing to begin with. But scores did come in. Granted, Eileen won regardless because it's head to head, but there was a number score put to it, and then it was put on social media and questioned if that run was worth that score. Which, as we know, as we've said ad nauseum, the score is just a tool. You lost to the other person.
You know what? I'll give it to her. That score was low. What did Eileen get? Eileen got a probably 90 on that run. Cassie should have been an 88. Should,
But
the score's relevant, you know. And so, like, I mean, I understand her frustration in that, and the scores, no matter what, the scores are gonna feel like a shot at you, you know. But and like I absolutely will say that that number was not reflective of the run that Cassie's bringing out there because Cassie is skiing really well. She's still so dominant in this field. Her nines are so good. She added a 10 to her run. It really was just kind of. I mean that was a placeholder. Like
sure.
the number was low. We easily could have been in the high 70s or 80s for that run. But again, it is just a number. Specifically at that stage of the contest, we're just trying to make sure that the rankings in that situation of 5, 6, 7 stacked up accordingly. So I understand her frustration. You wouldn't watch that run and normally think that that would be a score under 70. You know,
Okay. I mean that was my question, but at the same time, we're at this point where if you have a air to fakie and a switch three in your run, it's not gonna score as well as these other runs that don't have placeholders.
you know, it's proving that the switch skiing is so difficult for this field,
Exactly.
so it has to be rewarded.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of seeing this the contest almost break into tiers in which the runs are being done. You know, you have the runs that are incorporating switch skiing in both directions and higher rotations. And for us to not reward those would be us not paying attention to the progression and the difficulty of these individual tricks. So, like I said earlier, I really think that we're at a stage right now where it's gonna be really hard to compete with a Switch 3 against some of those other skiers that are adding Switch 7s, and some of them Switch 7s and 9s in both directions.
Yeah.
Eileen even, if you look at her run, she has no Switch right in her run, but what she does have is 9s well grabbed in both directions, a Switch 7 done out of the pipe, and left and right alley-oop flat 5s done mirrored with criticals on either side. So where she lacks in one direction, no switch right, she's adding two different directions and two different rotations in her run that have to be rewarded. So I really think, and like was echoed to me in a meeting that we had with all the half pipe skiers in Secret Garden after the Snow League before the World Cup, the switch skiing is just really that next era of progression for this field, and we need to keep rewarding it as such because even with really good nines, we need to see a little bit more when some of the skiers are skiing so well and so competently switching the pipe.
I agree. Before we get too caught up, because we got to keep moving here. Men's field, Gus Kenworthy in third, first contest in 4 years. Welcome back, Gus. Great to see him skiing. Honestly, one of the goats of our generation, without a doubt.
For sure.
Then you had the head-to-head in the finals. Luke Harold, who is also skiing out of his mind, who definitely is one of those people. If you're placing bets right now, he might be one to put money on in Vegas for that gold medal in Milano Cortina. But you had Luke Harold against Brendan McKay, which is kind of a surprise for me to see Brendan McKay make his way through there, but he skied so well.
Yeah, looking at the consolation bracket, Gus ended up not having to ski because Gepper, the other skier making it into the
Right.
consolation bracket, took that massive slam, and obviously we're just stoked to see him doing well. He skied today in Copper. He qualified through to the finals, so really excited that this slam didn't take him out for much longer. But Gus, skiing really well, third place. Really excited to see him back in the mix, but for sure, on the men's side, it really came down to that final battle, and this was the toughest call for us throughout the day. You got Luke Harold, who's doing one of the most complicated runs that could even be conceived, with that switch right alley-oop dub 9 into the switch left alley-oop dub 12, which is a trick only he can do. He just started doing it, and he did it every single run
it's
perfectly throughout the Snow League day. I mean, he took 7 runs throughout the day, and he landed that trick 7 times, and the only mistake he kinda made one run was he grabbed it for a little bit less long than the others. But what it really came down to with Luke versus BMAC in that contest was amplitude, and half pipe amplitude is so important. It relates so directly to the progression, the difficulty, and the execution of the way these skiers are approaching, and if you looked at the average amp on that run that separated them and pushed them into a 3rd run, BMAC's average amp was 16 feet and Luke's was 10.
In
So 35, 40% more amplitude average throughout a run. BMAC's run is less technically difficult
Yeah.
than Luke's, and that's kind of from an objective standpoint, you know? But still, the amplitude spoke volumes, and I just felt in that moment, and that was the consensus of the judges booth, that just we had to reward that because that was some proper half pipe skiing, you know? Pushed him into a 3rd run because Luke had taken run 1, and then on the 3rd run, when it all came down to the wire, Luke lost a ski and kinda gave, Brendan a quick and easy way to winning that one. So I don't think anyone necessarily would have guessed that based on the matchup and the way Luke's been skiing. But the it really came down to the amplitude, and we just kind of that amplitude's the name of the game in half pipe, and that's what the riders keep echoing to us, that we should be rewarding amplitude. So that's the way she went.
It goes
Um,
back to the T Hall Dumont range
Yeah,
back in the day,
yeah.
right? You got to look at it. T Hall was technical, and Dumont had the amp, and it was just always vice versa on either or who was landing runs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the back and forth throughout the all of half pipe skiing. I mean, if you look through all of it, but the interesting thing, well, not the interesting thing, but the one of the cool things I saw out of Luke Harold was how appreciative and excited he was to be there. I mean, he's a kid.
Oh yeah.
Luke's what, maybe 18 years old,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
competed against Gus and was just having. I mean, he did his interview after that head to head, and he talked about Gus the entire time about how he Gus just did these 14s, and it's like, look, you just literally beat the crap out of him, and
Also,
like,
Luke was paired against David Wise in round one, and I remember the night before when they got paired up, I was chatting with him in the dinner line, and I was like, "Yeah, I think the first U.S. Open that I went to, I traveled with David Wise to, and I think that was 2006." And the first words out of Luke's mouth was, "I wasn't alive then." I mean, like,
My God.
I think he was born in 2008, maybe.
yeah, that is.
But man, yeah, I mean, he's so appreciative. He's on a tear. He's skiing so well, and just if he can go a little bit bigger consistently in his runs, it is going to be hard for anyone to beat him because technicality wise, he has the tricks to do the most difficult half pipe run that anyone can even think of by a large margin. So I mean, when we're talking about him doing that switch alley oop dub 12, he is also the one that landed a switch trip 12 in that same spot in his run at World Champs, you know? So if he's skiing nuts, and you look at the two New Zealand skiers between him and Finn, and you can tell that they're competitive with one another.
Oh, they're feeding off each other right now.
That's
I mean,
the push.
yeah. And then, I mean, both of them in their 16s, the way they're doing their 16s compared to other people right now, the way they're grabbing them, it's like it's a different level right now, and they're just teenagers popping in. Like, I mean, it reminds me. I'm just gonna date myself. It reminds me of the way that Torin and Lyman and Blunk were skiing going into 2014, and with the rest of that field, you talk about David Wise, the gold medalist there. He's still in the mix. I mean, he made the mix today.
Speaking of which, shout out to Coach Slime, the new coach of the US rookie team. Awesome seeing Lyman out at those events. He was a presence missed, you know. So good to see him back in the mix. I'm waiting for him to get frustrated and start busting some alley flat fives 20 feet out of the pipe around the kids that he's coaching.
with the sickest, like, slow tweak mute grab.
Oh yeah.
All right, so same half pipe. Was it a week later?
Same half pipe, just immediately went right into the World
Okay.
Cup the following days.
Hi, Cerny. Hi, Sloan.
Will you go put this on the fridge? I guess
I
so.
guess so.
Yes.
All right, Secret Garden half pipe. It was the full field. I mean, so as opposed to Snow League where you had just the select competitors, you had the full field out there. Same half pipe. Few days after. Also on that same note, did you check out the McDonald's at the bottom?
I did not.
damn it.
McDonald's in China is a little bit frightening to me after my previous experience with McDonald's in China.
Good to know.
There were a lot of people that did check it out to mixed reviews.
What is your favorite McDonald's that you've been to in the world? Because I have mine.
I mean, Adam's gonna never let me live this down, but I had McDonald's breakfast in Sweden is pretty nuts. It's different for sure.
My favorite was hands down Norway.
I thought you were gonna say that, but I think you just were in it for the vibe, you know, and paying
Well,
way more for the same food.
Also the McDonald's in Oslo was my waypoint, and I got lost in Oslo multiple times, and I could find McDonald's from wherever I was in Oslo, and then I could make my way home. And this
Funny
was
thing about that is because I went to Norway for the first time with you, it's also my central
Yep,
point in
same.
town, so I always know where that McDonald's
Yeah,
is.
so like first few days in Oslo, Wacko and I, Jackson Wells and I went to McDonald's every single day 'cause we just wanted to try the different things there. And yes, it was a lot of kroners. But it became my waypoint. I wandered everywhere from there when I started wandering the city, and so when I got lost, which happened a few times, I found McDonald's.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you want to jump through the
through this
women's?
podcast.
Yeah, no McDonald's experience for me, but yeah, great qualifying day in Secret Garden for the World Cup was awesome. And then for the finals, it ended up the weather came in and was a pretty challenging contest. Um, we saw some of the top right, well, mainly Lee Fengwei not able to put down a run for which she was skiing really well, but it made room for newcomer Indra Brown, who's coached by our old Boreal homeboy Jamie
Yeah.
Melton.
Yeah. And I do have a note on this right now, and I stand by this. Jamie Melton, potentially coach of the decade.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Jamie coached Eileen when she was very young, coming up in Tahoe, and then what he's done with different kids through his coaching in China, and now his coaching with some of these Australian and Kiwi kids, and he's a great coach, also great human.
Yeah,
I
big
think
shout
former
out to Jamie, dude.
former
He's the
boot
man.
teammate with Garrett there.
teammate with G Money.
My dog.
I think Garrett was on the AM team while Jamie was the pro.
Yeah, but he took me under his wing, dude. They took
He
me
did.
to
Was he
hood.
your coach too, Garrett? Because we could add to this coach resume right now.
That's how he learned the 2P2.
It didn't work for me, obviously.
It didn't work for him.
But
Jamie's crushing
big
it.
shout
And,
out to Jamie. Yeah.
for another young up and coming skier to pop onto the radar and to be coached by Jamie is just you wouldn't expect anything less, you know. And Indra Brown coming in with her first World Cup start and her first World Cup podium at 15 years old. When we did the half pipe judges and athlete like kind of meeting before this, and I thought that a little girl had snuck in to get autographs. But it was Indra, and she's crushing her. She again, Jamie coached Eileen in some very formative years, and I would be lying if I didn't say I saw similarities in the way that they're skiing.
100%. And I mean, jumping forward in our timeline here, qualified in Copper today for
Yeah.
finals again. So she's in the mix.
She's in the mix for sure, and hopefully we're gonna get her an X Games spot at least as an alternate this year. She's skiing so
Huge.
well. Really, the only thing that's gonna hold her back is her sheer body weight and her ability to maintain amplitude because her run is very technical, and when she can keep amplitude, she's gonna be competitive with that top four, top five grouping consistently. But great seeing her. Exactly.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Kelly was the blueprint for these young girls coming in and just storming the scene. And yeah, I mean, another note from that Secret Garden half pipe was Kelly making her contest comeback. Still working through some kinks, but I think we're going to see a lot more of Kelly, and she hasn't lost a step with her grabs and her ability to spin in both directions. But yeah, back onto the podium. Indra skiing out of her mind, finished in third place. But the real battle of this final was Zoe versus Eileen, and Zoe came out and put down one of the best runs I've seen her do. Her amplitude, specifically on her first five, might be the biggest in the contest, men or women.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I'm pretty sure she went the biggest than anyone in the entire field, especially with that weather.
To be honest, I think
First,
that's
it
been
was
the theme
insane.
since last year. World champs, I would also stand by. I think she had single biggest hit of the day in the pipe.
I think we need a women's world record amplitude in half pipe for Zoe at some point.
Why hasn't it happened yet?
Someone call Joffrey. Maybe they can have a session.
You got to be able to do alley flat five that high, or else they can't count it with the.
They gotta build like a rocket ship next.
But yeah, Zoe going massive on that trick, and her run is just so good right now that she's been putting together over the past couple of years. Now adding switch sevens in both direction, both pretty large out of the pipe, and really at this contest, she pushed Eileen to the brink. You know, Eileen did not get it done in run one, and in this 2-run final, it came down to the wire. Eileen is the top qualifier, dropping last with Zoe already landing a run in the 90s and the weather deteriorating, like not really getting much better. But Eileen coming out and just proving why she's been so dominant in this field for so long, skiing out of her mind with a very classic run from her with the both nines. Now she's supplementing instead of doing. I think she was doing Japan on her left nines in previous years. Now she's capping blunt on it.
Yeah.
Still
It
does
looks
that right
so
nine
much
Buick.
better.
It's so nice with the blunt. That right nine Buick, she's still got on lock again with that switch seven. It's becoming more consistent, locking in Japan with that, and then just two big alley oop flat fives in opposite directions at the bottom of the run, just edging out Zoe, who had really put down a really clean run, and just kind of continuing the streak that she's the one to beat. Even in this tough weather where she really had to come down to the final run and put something down. It was cool to see that contest went the stretch because I am
Yeah.
tired of victory laps.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. All right. And then the men's field, again, it was foggy, it was windy. I mean, it definitely put a damper on the contest, but I mean, it was still a good showing.
For sure. I mean, these men are used to dealing with it, and the weather definitely played a factor in it. Matt Labat, who had been skiing so well in qualifying, just not really able to put down a full run, like still incorporating a right nine in his run that I know he would have liked to substitute with a dub 12. And then on his final run, when he was going for it to try to move up from, I think, fifth or sixth onto the podium, he went for that down the pipe dub flat seven and landed a little bit off and absolutely blew both the heel pieces off his binding, which is something I've never seen happen.
I've never seen that in my entire life, dude.
It was unreal.
That clip can be shown on repeat, and I don't know, is there marker bindings? You gotta talk to Marker about that for some reason. Because
Yeah,
what was going on with that? How does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day when Dumont would like openly call out Solomon for their bindings on air in a contest, and I'm surprised Matt wasn't doing the same about absolutely obliterating those bindings.
He landed what I thought would have been a stomped run, and both bindings just
Okay, yeah.
explode.
So would that
He walked away for a second. I knew when we talked about bindings blowing off, he knew exactly what we're talking about.
would that run have threatened the podium? I mean, that run, it was a very good run. It could have maybe threatened Hunter for that third place. I mean,
It was really like they were all in the mix between Hunter, Burke, and Matt for that third
Yeah.
place spot. The run up until that point, I think, was losing a little bit of steam in terms of the amplitude. But that down the pipe dub seven is such a cool trick, and I think we were all caught off guard when he landed like that. And I've never seen a binding malfunction like that where they both explode.
well, and on that note, it wasn't your typical binding malfunction of pullout. It wasn't the mount. It was the heel piece coming out of the track.
Yeah.
Like it came out of the track. And I mean, I have no binding connection, but Marker is what his binding was, and
But at
this
least he was
kid-
so low to the ski when he did that because their new binding is the
Yeah,
lowest.
there you go. Yeah, but to be perfectly honest with you, the kid has a chance to make an Olympic team. He lands that run, he has a potential to be on a podium, which would help secure a spot on the hardest Olympic team to get to. And he has a binding malfunction. Who knows if it's the binding itself? Who knows if it's who set it up? Whatever it may be, but he loses an opportunity because of a technical malfunction, not of his own doing.
No, he
And
was
like it,
that
like,
was coming to his feet for sure.
and I hate to be like the person who brings it up, but or like have this mindset, but he could put himself in life changing money, making an Olympic team, getting on an Olympic podium, like life changing everything, and to have his bindings shoot off, like,
Well, I mean, okay, so two things.
man,
I wouldn't count him out yet. He
Yeah,
is
for
skiing
sure.
out of his mind. I know he didn't make the final in Copper, and that
Yeah.
seemed like he just went down. I would never count that kid out because he is skiing out of his mind. And if we're talking about somebody winning practice and qualifiers, he was the clear, like he was skiing out of his mind. Two, a lot of people that ride vocals ride
Yeah.
pivots. It seems like the veteran play is to ride pivots and pipe, and people ride in bindings because obviously the the holy trinity, Marker, vocal, Dalbello, that most people are running all three of those, but maybe a different choice of binding would be a better option for
Well,
the
I
type of
mean,
skiing.
On that same note, and this is just ski nerd stuff, but the pivot platform being such a small mounting platform has always also been an issue in the pipe because they blow out of the ski because it's a very small footprint. I mean, it's gotten bigger now, but if we look back at old FKSs, it was an even narrower footprint in the ski where even some ski brands threatened to not warranty their skis if if the piece exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but it's I don't know, it's one of those tough ones. I hate to really harsh on it, but man, that was
was-
really
and I mean, also like when we're talking about the slope and big air qualification specifically for the US team, the men's pipe field, I mean, I think it was 9 of 14 making it into finals were US skiers. And they've got again, Ferreira, he didn't even compete at that one. He's got his spot locked in.
yeah, there's only
Gepper,
3 spots.
there's only 3 spots, and Gepper, hurt from Snow League, also wasn't there to compete. So field was wide open. You could tell Matt and Burke and Hunter and Blunk and Tristan and
Yeah.
Dylan Ladd and all of those skiers and younger ones that like you haven't heard their names as much all saw an opening, and Matt went for it and just had a binding issue. I think he really would have been up there, but again, Burke Irving having a great showing, finishing just off the podium. But Hunter Hess was the one that emerged out of this one into that third place spot. Just a really good run, changing up some grabs that I think had been kind of difficult from a judging standpoint for us to read in recent years. And locking in that switch right 10 with lead tail. He's still got that Misty in his run, more confidently taking it to 7 now, which is a really cool rotation. And then I think he might be working on doing 2 of those in his run, in one air time, and I think that might be a real game changer because with the switch down the pipe dub 9 into the switch right 10, having the left and right dub 12s, granted in Secret Garden, he only did the right 9, but with a really nice reverse mute, and then finishing off the run with that Misty rotation, Hunter's got a really competitive run, and this is gonna do a lot to help his positioning in terms of, making that US squad going into Italy.
On that same sorry. On that same note, watching watching qualies today in Copper, I like the Misty 5 more than the Misty 7.
Yeah, I mean, the Misty 5 looks more
The
difficult
Misty
to
5 today that he dumped at the end of his quali run, I was like, "Oh, I missed the Misty 5." Like, the 7 Sip, like, I like him taking it to that, but the Misty 5,
and I don't know if you watched the final from Secret Garden, but the Misty 7 was what got him on his
Yeah.
first run. Hunter put down a full pull, landed switch, but couldn't get off one ski edge switch and kind of went off the bottom corner of the pipe onto his back. And that was probably the longest discussion we had in the booth for that one was what to do with it because
It's a Chloe
technically
Kim. It's a Chloe Kim incident.
it is a Chloe Kim situation. And like for us, it
Chloe
was
Kim,
shout out number 1 fan, Chloe Kim. She's listening
our girl.
for sure. But that was a control thing, and it's like, okay, if the crash is not control related, then we don't like if he just gets to the bottom and then falls over, we don't necessarily harsh him for it. But it felt like he never got fully in control, and then next thing we know, he's on his back, leaving us kind of in a gray zone, and
Yeah.
it ended up being
I know, Garrett, were you watching? Because I know we talked about watching. I don't know if you got on.
I did watch, and then I also to retract everything that we were just saying. I just wanted to claim TKO Hunter is coming out swinging, right? It meant a statement, and that's him and A Hall that they put out that movie for a reason. That's just my nerd in my head.
Yeah, fair.
Hunter is coming out here gunning. But yes, I did watch, and
the nerd in him referencing probably the most watched ski movie of the year.
whatever, dude. But the title had a name for a reason, just like we
dude.
Yeah,
whatever.
Come on, Garrett.
I've watched so many ski movies
Eat
this
that
year.
dog.
It's crazy.
But I do like when I was watching that in the moment, and then they went to the replay of Hunter skiing out of that. I was like, "Oh, you can't give it the score." Like, I mean, as much as you wanted to, he was he was doing the Adam Frizzell Flamingo one ski too long and just kind of lost.
I know Adam does like that. Thankfully, Adam wasn't on the panel because Adam probably would have found a way to reward that, But I mean, also, like, and this is a completely different situation, but like, this is to say, oh, well, Matt landed because he landed 4 point. It just was his bindings that exploded, causing him to land on his back, Like, the runs that get rewarded need to make sense, and like not only from a sport perspective, but if the people at home watch somebody land on their back at the bottom of a run and get third place, it's going to be really confusing and frustrating. And that's a battle we're always going to be fighting with, making people want to watch this weird, obscure niche of a sport. So it really does need to make sense. And I think Hunter got it. And ultimately, I was thrilled to see him put down a second run and end up on the podium because he's skiing out of his mind. Garrett's right. TKO was heavy.
The gloves, dude. They got the gloves
Dude,
coming.
they got the gloves, dude.
We got Wallish as the ref. I get it.
Yeah. All right, so Garrett watched the intro. Nice.
Garrett made it through the intro.
I went to the premiere, dude.
Garrett wanted to see both of them shirtless. I get it.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, it was the worst ski premiere no one I've ever been to, dude.
Not because of the movie though, but because the
No,
vibe was
because the crowd was just absolutely off.
I was just clarifying so people didn't think that you were hating on that movie.
No, dude, the movie was mind blowing, and of course the ender shot, the movie, it ended up buffering or skipping, just typical
classic.
technical difficulties where you couldn't watch the ender. But
To make one more note about TKO, I think A-Hall has 30 enders in that part. Like
It's
would have been an
insane.
ender for everyone else every single shot.
I don't even like the entire time I'm watching. I'm like, how is it still going? How is there another one?
How did he do something better than this every single time? And every single one was somehow more impressive than this.
Yeah, the entire thing was great. On the
oh yeah.
Damn it, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. I'll remember. I have it pulled up. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna before I get sidetracked to finish off the podium on this contest. So Hunter in third place, but it's the battle of the year. Finn versus Luke for first, second, and again Luke coming out with just a heater of a run with his switch right alley oop dub 9, switch left alley oop dub 12, switch down the pipe 7, right 12 and a left 16, and just kind of again similar to Snow League. And also more so because the weather was so rough in this contest, the amplitude for his run ended up being kind of difficult, and you could tell that he was struggling. And Finn came out and somehow had no trouble with amplitude and just went way bigger than anyone else in this finals and put down a run on run 1 and 2, both of which I think we gave him the exact same score. He added the right 16 on the last run, but he did kind of whiff the grab on his left 16. So when people are watching that run in the replay, understand that we saw that, but just amplitude wise, and he was just skiing so well. He's riding that pipe so well, and it was really cool to see him come out despite the conditions and still go absolutely massive. But Luke versus Finn is about to be a showdown all season, and it's gonna be a challenge for anybody to be pushing those two. And I think there's quite a few skiers that can push them right now, but right now those two seem to be kind of in the driver's seat.
All right. So on that same note, I'll come back to my point, but I did open up the Instagram for some questions, and Zav had a question. Shout out to Mayram. Yeah, the Mayram podcast. Thoughts on taped? Oh, we're down. We're not out though. We're down.
We're down.
Thoughts on the taped pants?
Oh yeah, the tape pants was definitely
Yeah.
that was a move for sure. I mean,
Yeah, it was a move. It seemed like the person did it, and they're like, "Oh, we should do this speed."
I think, but okay, the person that Zav was asking me about was Tristan Feinberg, and his almost looked like more of a style statement.
It did. It was kind of like Hesh. Like I mean,
it's going to it, and
definitely coming back. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was
John Hartman in the half pipe at this point in time, and it would have.
Yeah, dude, to prove himself after that TKO call out.
Whatever, dude.
But no,
I'm saying
the pants though. Yeah, the tape pants I thought was an interesting. I wasn't out there. Like, granted, every time I stepped outside, it was miserable that day, and we were happy to be inside. The wind was blowing that day, so I understand them trying to be as aerodynamic as possible. But it was the tape jobs were funny to see come out one by one.
All right. Let's jump into Steamboat Big Air because we're stretching here.
We're stretching. There were a lot of contests to cover right now.
Yeah. And I mean,
Steamboat, another one that it seemed just like maybe some of the skiers didn't show up. Looked like this. No Sarah Hofflin, no Mathilde at this contest, no Tesla Dude, no Eileen, no Megan Oldham. So again, wide open field, and you see some names that you didn't normally see making that final, as well as making the podium. Rel Harwood qualified really high up, maybe even qualified in first, but wasn't able to put it down and ended up in last in the final, which was a bummer because she's really fun to watch ski. Another notable performance, Avery Kroom from the U.S., new girl on the U.S. rookie team, I believe, finishing in fourth place and just kind of just skiing really well, really stylish.
good style. Yeah, really good air awareness, body positions, like good style.
Yeah, exactly. And then right onto the podium, Rui Yang, Chinese skier skiing with Cole Derrick. She's been on the come up for a while, making a couple finals in recent years, but I can't say that I remember her getting a podium yet. So this might have been big for her. Really big surprise in Katerina from Ukraine getting in second. We've been seeing her on the scene
Yeah.
for a while, and this was just her skiing out of her mind that day. And it's exciting to see a new face up on that podium and like see where this goes in the next little bit. Now that we're kind of done with the World Cup big air scene until the Olympics, and how's this going to stack up?
Yeah, first Ukrainian skier to podium in free ski, which isn't a huge surprise. There's not a ton of them, but pretty cool to see her in there as well. And you kind of beat me to my Cole Derrick shout out. Another
Doing a great job with the Chinese
incredible
coach.
coach and doing like huge things, especially with the women's big air field.
For sure. Yeah, Cole's been crushing, and you just see how much he's like settled into that position and tried to kind of run with the momentum, and really developing some high quality talent, specifically in the women's big air field. So excited to see his skiers keep doing well. And again, you've got another Chinese competitor in fifth place with Lin Shan Han. So yeah, I mean Cole's running with it, but back to the podium, just above Katerina in first place with her third podium in the early season. I think getting the trifecta with
The
her first
trifecta.
place. Yeah,
Yep.
she got a first, second, third. But Naomi Ernest just cannot be stopped right now, it seems. And granted, I did mention some names that weren't there that might play a factor, but she's coming in with a lot of momentum into the season. And I, previously to this year, thought of her more as a slope skier than a big air skier. So she's got a couple slope style events that I wouldn't be surprised to see her really turning on the gas for. And seems with these three podiums, she'd be a relative lock to make that Canadian team. Excited to see more of her in the coming months.
And moving on to the men's field, another third place for Luca Harrington.
Another third place for Luca Harrington. In this contest, I will say for the men, maybe this jump was a little bit small.
Yeah.
We didn't seem to see all the yeah. I mean, maybe the tricks just weren't quite what we've seen in some of these other contests coming into it. But still, with that being said, great contest. Tormod coming in just off the podium in fourth place. Luca Harrington, again, those same two tricks, switch trip 18 Esco, forward trip 19 safety, locking him in at third place. Still not at the top of the podium yet this year, but still 3 for 3 on podiums. And Connor Ralph coming in with a second place in this contest. Switch trip 18 Japan, forward trip 18 mute. Looking like he went for guitar on his last jump, which is a trick that he's been working on. Really cool to see Connor starting to make some strides in the big air department. I know he did really well last year in Aspen with that third place finish, but Connor, I think even to everyone else would admit he's more of a slope skier. So to see him in the mix, and again in these contests that are so pivotal for making the U.S. team, a second place is not going to hurt in his case to make that push.
He's up in the mix. Quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question before we get to first place. Tormod is one of those people who is doing a trick that is not an 18 It is not a 19. It is not a 21. With the switch tail butter dub bio in this contest, dub bio 12, that's got scored up in the mix with 18s and 19s.
So I think that's one too that has been compared against those 18s and 19s and is still proven to be really difficult for these skiers to figure out. Only Torm and Surya have figured this trick out. Surya was doing it a little bit towards the end of last season. Um, I mean, it's a switch tail butter to a forward bio rotation. I think like
For
I
sure.
think it merits being rewarded still.
Yeah.
And especially when we're talking about this contest did not have 21s. This contest was not really a bunch of 19s. So it makes more sense that that switch tail butter dub bio 12 is factored into the mix. Again, it's a trick that how do you quantify something that no one else is willing to try?
You're right. You're right.
When you see so many comparables, so many people pushing to these dub 18s, dub 19s, trip 18s, trip 19s, switch dub 18s and 19s, you have comparables. You're seeing who's doing them better or worse. But when you have somebody that's doing something that's truly standout, that is completely different and has a component that is genuinely making you think, would anyone else try that? And why aren't other people trying that when they're seeing it be rewarded? It still gives it justification that it should be rewarded in this capacity, you know. And I mean, difficulty is not a linear scale as to rotation being the defining factor. So I think it plays.
That's exactly the answer or explanation I was hoping for. So, and on to first place.
First place, Teapot. He cannot be stopped. 2 for 2 in the contest that he's entered this year in the big air field. He, I believe, with that one, officially locked his spot on the US
He
team
did.
as
Yep.
published by them on Instagram, which has to feel good. I know the US slope big air team is so hard to make. And granted, Teapot's been skiing out of his mind in big air when the qualification criteria also includes slopestyle. He hasn't had quite as many finishes in slopestyle. So Teapot just coming out and collecting hardware. You know, it seems like he just knew what he had to do, came out and did exactly that in this contest.
Yeah, it was pretty chalk for him. I mean, it wasn't his biggest tricks, but he went out, he laced them, no problem, took the win. I do. I mean, I texted you about this because I wasn't sure exactly the qualification format. I still struggle with the fact that if you qualify for big air or for slope, that you have to do both. Like it's not the same event. I mean, it's like okay, you're a mogul skier. It's like the way it used to be in freestyle. Where you're a mogul skier, you also have to do aerials and ballet.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, we're lucky that they're not going the opposite way and saying you get 4 spots for free ski and
Okay,
everyone's
fair.
competing with slope half pipe and big air.
Right.
Right now, I mean, it really has to do with the quotas and the way that nations want to fulfill those quotas, as well as we're dealing with an environment in which ski cross, moguls, and aerials still takes away
Yeah.
quota spots from that nation. And like if you look at the US specifically, we don't have a super strong ski cross program or a men's mogul and aerial program that is on par with the rest of the world. So we end up taking full 4 4 4 and 4 for pipe and slope big air men's and women's, but you see other nations that are struggling more with these cuts, specifically Canada, who has a really deep ski cross and freestyle program in moguls and aerials, and that takes away their opportunity on the free ski front. So would it be a better case scenario if we had defined big air skiers and defined slopestyle skiers? Maybe, but that's not the way that it was set up.
Yeah, I get.
And I still am waiting for the year when we do have a defined mogul or a defined big air skier, and then we've got the kid that never learned to spin right, only spins left,
Yeah.
has a massive coconut right shoulder and
Yeah.
just a little tiny wimpy left shoulder, and is like a human
yeah.
lobster just power cranking to the left.
Yeah, shout out Fast Trav on the speed skating leg.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever watched professional arm wrestling? Those people are human monsters. Like they're a right-handed arm wrestler. They have a little baby left arm, and they've got a massive right arm.
Honor yeah, honorable mentions in the Steamboat Big Air. Keegan Supple with a great showing for the US. Up in the mix. I think he got 5th. when it all was
Called him out last year for just how sick that kid's been skiing and maybe not being a little underappreciated on the rev circuit. Cool to see him getting World Cup reps, and I think he's here to stay. He's got that Switch 18 stale, proper stale, like close into the binding, not reach back on that outside rail. Really cool seeing that. Caddy, French skier there, that Switch Trip 10, just fun trick to watch, crowd pleaser.
Triple hot Carl.
It's triple hot Carl Fossfeld will love that call out.
Oh, we've been I made it on an Instagram comment and he responded to it and was like, "Yeah, they're doing way cooler stuff than me, but yeah, thanks."
The hot Carl. That's when you're announcing this for
I should you call it as a triple hot Carl.
Love it.
Yeah, I do what I can. There was one comment that I can't find on our Good Enough Instagram from someone asking about Miro, and Miro missed his grab on both switch tricks, I believe. It was more obvious in the first one. On his last drop, body position, everything looked good. They went in slow-mo. He swung and missed 2 times in that trick. So it wasn't the fact that his trick wasn't good enough to be in the mix. He missed his grab.
Yeah, like you watched this better than I did. I was in transit out of Secret Garden for this one. But I mean, with Big Air specifically, we're asking these skiers to do one thing and one thing perfect. In slopestyle, you might see a slight mistake still be rewarded in first place, specifically in OI judging. But in Big Air, we're expecting perfection. And when these guys don't lock grabs and we replay and realize that the grab was not locked, it's a deal breaker in these situations. So you got to give credit to the judges that were there. It was a super strong panel, and they're not just arbitrarily throwing someone under the bus in this situation. They're watching for the details, and you need to look at those details to be able to separate these people, because if you look at what's being done, everyone's doing a similar version of the same trick, just to a better or worse extent. So it's the details is what is going to be the defining factor in all of these. And Miro has the tricks to be up there, but if not done well, he's not going to be rewarded.
Right. And I mean, it wasn't obvious in real time when you watched it, but then you watched it in the replay and he swung a miss. Like he didn't even touch his ski, which is amazing. He was able to complete the trick because you know how much they use that grab, especially that lead pencil.
I think people should be scared when he does get his grab, because I think that he's someone that he locks into that grab and might add a full 7 to that 19.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get into our Copper preview, I'm going to jump into a few random comments questions on the Instagram. One of them was from Mr. Levi Asher. How confident are you in the Olympic judging panel?
Again, I saw you commented back to Levi. Maybe a biased opinion because I'm head judge for this one. I'm pretty darn confident in who we've got pulled for the Olympics this year. There's a group of people I've been working with a lot. They all understand the gravity of the situation and are all really in the mix right now and doing way more events than they're used to in the early season to make sure that we're up to snuff for the Olympics. And that panel, just to shout them out, because I'm stoked on all this whole team that we put together for this. Toby Grotz, Anton Bjorklund, Jonas Fjellstead, Flo Brandley, Elliot Carter, Dane Kirk, Tori Beatty, Antonin Ferrari, and Will Tucker. Again, people I've been working with for years on the World Cup scene and have proved so much dedication and really have earned their spot in this event. And this event carries a lot of stigma. It's a big event. It has a lot of eyes on it, and we all want to do well. And I'm very confident in the crew that we have there. In addition, we have the human trick counter, Adam Fursell, as our trick caller. The only person that can count as fast as people spin.
I have a couple questions about that. We'll do that off air. As I found out in a FaceTime I had with our group message today. But moving on, what are our thoughts on Henrik's helmet that he's dropped this year?
So he had it, and then he seemingly got rid of it by now. He didn't ski in Steamboat with it, but I kind of like. I mean, Henrik. What are you going to tell him not to do something? He does what he wants. He's the GOAT. He has that type of authority to be able to ski in whatever he wants, and that's a fashion statement. And also, it wasn't the full-on Stormtrooper Ruroc full face helmet, so I don't know how much you can hate on it.
I think he's trying to just go to space with that. That's what he means. He's going to the moon. The term boost from everybody, that's what he's
Boost.
trying to portray
I mean,
when it
if
comes
we're
to
trying to
this.
hate on people's fashion statements, I can find a lot more wrong
Yeah,
going on in the slope and big air
So,
department.
so I can tell you, as a parent who is now teaching a child how to ski, the visor helmet is unreal compared to putting a kid in goggles and having to deal with goggles. Just flipping it down, and the fact that this one has Paw Patrol on it, this is a big deal.
They know what they're doing.
So I don't know if Henny needs to get his hands on this one. But
Or maybe
Millie,
Willie needs the monster version.
True, Millie is a huge fan of this one. So just big shout out to the Sports Crew, Mike and TJ.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you see fashion and like technological advancements that don't fit what we've been used to, and this
Yeah.
was one of them that it was just like, what the hell has he got on? Function wise, it didn't seem to slow him down, and I'm
Right.
sure that. I mean, you probably catch Kim Kardashian out there running something like that.
Oh, 100%.
So maybe it's more fashion forward than we even realize.
I mean, at a certain point in time, Henny doesn't wear goggles half the time anyway, and they're backwards on his head.
Just
So if
flip it.
if he needed them,
We should just be happy he's protecting his
helmet.
eyes.
Maybe he got really into watching Top Gun when he was injured, and he just is like, I am Tom Cruise.
That's a good guess.
So Sammy Ortlieb has a question. Please do a recap of Jason's OHNH episode. I'm not sure if I know this.
Oh, just I recently had an old head, new head with Ivor and Ethan on
I'm
Two
so
Planker Network. Two Planker Network.
Oh, Two Planker Network?
Two Planker Network.
Oh, interesting.
Recently published. I mean, it was really cool. I think Sammy is just asking for an abbreviated version so he doesn't have to listen to me talk for 3 hours, which I get.
We should make Sammy come back on.
We should. Yeah, we no. What I would be more interested in is I would be more interested to make Sammy listen to that and then give us a 5-minute recap of what we talked about.
Okay, so that'll be one of our Instagram posts.
I don't think it'll be all too flattering, but I'd welcome Sammy to abbreviate it.
Well, Sammy beat me to listening to it if he did. So
This is a couple weeks ago too, man. You're behind the
I know.
ball.
I listened to Kai's podcast he did with Zav. No, you know what?
Dude, I get it.
I don't drive by myself that often anymore, which is when I used to have podcasts, and now I drive with Lance, and I feel weird playing ski podcasts all the time with Lance because he just makes fun of me the whole time. So.
Also, speaking about Kai's podcast, and shout out to Xavier Mayrand who did that on his podcast network. But Kai getting engaged the other day, just posting that on social media. Big congrats to Kai.
Huge.
Two rings on it.
It's the year of getting engaged. Garrett, where you at?
Where you at, Garrett? That's my next question.
Noah convinced me to
Yo,
go to the jeweler. Noah convinced me to go to the jeweler. He just convinced me to go to the jeweler and buy a rock, and the next girl I'm with, that's it. That's what I'm doing.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, it is.
See if it pays off for you.
I will see.
And then just a couple others. We have JoJo. Good enough. The name is is it self-deprecation or emo BS from good skiers who are cute?
You'll never know, JoJo. You'll
Shout
never.
out JoJo. Miss you,
At least
JoJo.
he thinks we're cute.
Zav also one last.
It's no secret that JoJo thinks we're cute. We think you're cute too, JoJo.
One last question for you, Jason. Best country to host a judging clinic?
Sloan's busting in right now.
Well, let's see. What does Sloan think? Where is the best country to host a judging?
The best
Well,
country.
Sloan got to come with me to the Oslo and Innsbruck clinic this year, so I think she was a fan of those ones.
Yep, that makes sense.
I think I know what Zav wants to hear on this one, and that's.
She say she made a panini?
I think she says she has baby ick.
Oh. Thank
Well,
you guys.
Answer Zav's question. Calgary was sick this year. Cool to have Garrett and Noah there. Canada's always fun. Everyone's really partaking. USA, step it up, you know.
Aperol Spritz Towers for life.
Oh yeah, Garrett Garrett just at the restaurant bragging about how little Canadian money means, and then getting bummed that he had a $300 check in Canadian because he got an Aperol Spritz tower that nobody wanted, nobody asked for.
Yeah, I would have
And then
helped you, Garrett.
We told Garrett that
They say.
we told the waitress that it was Garrett's birthday, and so they brought him out a cake, and they brought little cakes for everyone, and then they put the cakes on Garrett's bill.
That is spot on what we used to do to. Oh, do I have a beat button? I don't remember. Oh yeah, that's what we used to do to that person. So
You say it, I didn't hear you, but then you beep it out afterwards. Is what you're supposed to do.
John Lang. Yeah, we're gonna beep him out whenever we talk about it, but
No need.
fine.
Yeah, give him a.
Wasn't getting hazed. I think I just got played by.
John
the
wasn't getting hazed either.
pretty-
We were just trying to feed him.
Garrett was trying to get in there with the waitress because we found out that he had a rock in his pocket. He was trying to drop me.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so we have Copper. We did qualies today. And you talk about U.S. competitors making it to the final, and I mean we're missing some names too. But Hunter Hess, Ben Fetke, how do I always mess that one up?
Right? I'm
Fetke,
not sure.
Gebdog, Ferreira, Blunk, Burke, Hunter Mayton, Tristan Feinberg, David Wise, Dylan Ladd, Kale McCarthy, and Hunter Hess, all making the 16-man final.
It's about to be a heavy one, and
Really bad reading. Sorry.
that was really bad. I think you said Hunter Hess twice.
Yeah, I did because I didn't think I said it, so I said it again.
I get it.
Shout out
You got to
Hunter.
say his name.
Yeah, what's up, Hunter?
But that's going to be so heavy. You know, I mean, you talk about the qualifying criteria, and this one has to be especially brutal. The U.S. men's halfpipe qualification, like, I mean, this is the Kyle Smain scenario with going into, was it the Korea Olympics where Kyle won the World Cup directly before that was part of the qualification criteria, and probably hard pressed was a top 8 halfpipe skier in the world, but didn't make that 4-person team. It is a bloodbath, and they're fully in the mix right now. And also based on the way that, again, Matt Labod didn't land in China, Matt Labod didn't make finals here. He's gonna tune in for these next 2 contests. He wants to be there, but this is gonna be really tough because you got the single most accomplished halfpipe skier in the history of our sport in David Wise still going for a 4th Olympics right now, and he's still in the mix. Burke Irving, Hunter Hess, Gepper has not locked down a spot. Ferreira being the only one that's safe. Blunk is still giving it. Tristan Feinberg has a really fun run to watch.
Yeah.
That's the competition inside the season is who makes that 4-person cut.
Yeah, so it'll be after watching a little bit of qualies today. I jumped on when we did a rehearsal for the outside TV, outside watch. If you guys want to watch or tune in to this outside watch, and you can listen to my terrible
Listen to Pete struggle through pronouncing Ben Fechte's name. Yo, that gets Steen out of his mind too. Maybe he's up in the mix.
Yeah. But anyway, you could tune in. We have Gepper, who made it in, seems to be unfazed after the crash in China, seems to be kind of back at his spot. But you also have those names, like you were saying, Ben, and some of these others up higher in the qualifying, which will be interesting to see if they have the tricks, which some of them do. Ben's been lacing a 16. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
I mean, even just looking at the Snow League list, there's 8 riders, and so Matt Labaugh was alt 1 for Snow League. He could win the contest. You know, like the level of disparity between 1 and 15 probably in the men's halfpipe category, like all nations combined, is unbelievable. The U.S. just happens to occupy 10 of those 15 spots probably, and
it's definitely, I mean, I think Aspen will be very interesting. Calgary is going to be maybe a deciding factor to see really where we're at. But Aspen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason. Is it 2 comps at Aspen again?
Aspen, slope, and pipe.
Okay,
There's
so it's
just
not
no,
it's not
just
double.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's the U.S. qualifying criteria is 4 events for pipe, which was Secret Garden, Copper, Calgary, and Aspen. So by Calgary, at the end of Calgary, we'll know who's still in play for Aspen. But I very well think not much is going to be decided by that point, and it might come down to that final weekend. So it's going to be a fun one. Like there's a lot of consequence on this season in so many different ways, and you look at sports with relegation systems, and they find ways for different things to be competitive. You can also look way down the list at the people just trying to show their face in Italy, trying to make that cut, do the runs that they've not been able to put down just to represent their country in these contests. So there's a lot of consequence. There's a lot going on, and a big season for them to be adding Snow League into the mix, for which we'll see the finale and locks at the end of the season. And then now this year being the last year with just the traditional singular X Games, moving after this into the X Games League format, whatever that might look like, and getting interesting. Starting to seem like we're building a little bit of momentum here.
So Nico Porteous, we've been seeing some posts of him skiing in the indoor pipe in China, and I, I saying he's up to something, but I don't know why he can't just come into a competition and
So
keep skiing, please.
I'll speak to this because I saw Nico in China. I got to visit the indoor half pipe, which I should spend a whole 45 minutes talking about because oh my god, this thing is unbelievable. A full on 22-foot half pipe indoors that they can ski year round in China. Um, Tommy Pyatt, the head coach of the Chinese pipe team, got me the plug to go visit it. So I brought a couple of the judges on our last day in Secret Garden. But Tommy also close relationship with the New Zealand team. I think he's from New Zealand. So he had Finn there skiing this summer. You saw some clips of Finley Melville Ives skiing there. Nico's been getting into that pipe, doing some really cool stuff. I think Nico, he's still got it. If that still needs to be said, he's trying to put half pipe skiing on the map in a way that contests can't. But I think we should start a public petition to force him back into the contest scene. And
Please.
I mean, maybe Nico more so is disillusioned by the World Cup circuit and what it's like to be on a national team. But with
Snow League?
with X Games League happening, maybe there's room for someone like Nico to come back. And I miss seeing him ski.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Yeah, his runs, the diversity of his runs that he did at X Games and throughout the years and in Snow League, he would be without a doubt in the mix for sure.
But also, like from a competitive standpoint, I could see not wanting
Yeah.
to continue in the World Cup circuit once you've already proved yourself. He won the Olympics. What more does he have to prove? Does he want to jump back into another full cycle? Like half pipe's dangerous. If that doesn't align with your goals, I understand pulling out of that. But now that there's a little bit of money tied up in this and a new format that you might have an advantage over other people based on how you see yourself stacking up in that type of format. I just think it'd be cool if he gave it another shot. He brings something to the field that other
Come
people.
back. But petitions, I'm in. I'm fucking
Yeah, I
raise my
just
hand to that one.
like just what he brought in the last, I guess it was 2 years ago, where it's like, I'm gonna change this and see how people react. Like we need more of that. And so shout out to Nico. A big shout out to Noah Bowman for retiring from competitive halfpipe skiing. Happy retirement to Noah. Thank you for everything you've done for skiing, for halfpipe skiing.
For sure.
I mean, I can say throughout my years of judging, from the beginning and when Noah was young and getting in the mix and always having something different than everyone, always skiing swish more than everyone else, making watching half pipe skiing, even in phases of half pipe skiing when it wasn't enjoyable, his runs were always enjoyable. He was always enjoyable to be around. Always, I think I'm mainly bummed that I won't get to see him at contests anymore.
Yeah, I heard rumor they might try to force him into coaching, and I think a new generation of half pipe skiers could learn a lot from his approach. He was always the most fun to watch, and just had such a different take and approach. Um, that last injury that took him out for a while, that I believe it happened at X Games, was a brutal one. So you knew it was going to be a tough road for him to catch back up. And honestly, at a certain point, once you get to know these people, you don't want to watch them get hurt again.
Yeah.
You know, so I wish Noah the best, and I really hope that he considers getting into coaching because I really think he could teach everyone a little bit about highlighting themselves a little bit more rather than following the trends.
Yeah, it's a great point, but I mean, happy for him to decide that that's where he wants to go. Again, just bummed that we won't get to see him around at contests anymore unless he chooses to coach. So coach.
Maybe he takes your job, starts announcing. Maybe my job starts judging.
Yeah. Well, I started coaching, so here we go.
That's 2 jobs he could take from you at once.
Yeah, exactly. That's the story of my life, Jason.
Unless he wants to start starting the snowboarders, he can't take 2 jobs away from you right now.
He could probably do a good job of that. He'd probably get more fist bumps than you.
Don't tell him, dude.
All right, so we're definitely long in this one. It has been a while. We caught up on all the contests. We have Copper going on right now. Hopefully, we can jump back on maybe during or around Calgary around the new year. And
We got some
do some more.
backlog conversations to have in addition
Yeah,
to whatever
I mean,
happens in
we
Copper.
sat here and talked about Snow League for this entire episode. So we also have ski videos to talk about. I mean, there's been Garrett just wants to talk about TKO some more.
He's just bored out of his mind. He's had to sit here and listen to contest business, and he just wants to talk about A-Hall and Hunter shirtless.
Garrett,
I'm a contest guy now, dude. Yeah, I'm out here judging clinic.
Garrett, what contests are you judging this year? Because I'm coaching and I'm going to show up to those damn coaches meetings and grill your ass.
They're not 100% confirmed, but I'm pretty sure Mammoth Rev and maybe
He
North.
confirmed you. You just haven't confirmed. You got to. I nominated you for that.
Said not 100% confirmed. Like I just have to make sure it's okay
Why are you holding up your cans right now?
because I'm going in more.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to show off his CPH can per hour. You know,
Yeah,
style.
respect.
Next,
So you're going to be a Mammoth Rev?
Mammoth Rev
All right,
and
I guess I'm coming to Mammoth Rev, and I'm coming to that meeting. Get ready.
Whistler Noram, I think.
I'm not going to Whistler.
Yeah, but either
Garrett is either.
I don't know. I'm waiting for an email. That's all.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we'll try to jump back on maybe during Calgary, right around Calgary. We'll try to make this more of a weekly as soon as we can. I mean, schedules are tough. Children are fun. And Garrett's just playing in the water out there in Washington. You take a boat to work or what?
Dude, I might as well.
On the plus side, he doesn't have to shower after work.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if you've ever had to wear rain gear while you work construction, you're showering as soon as you get home.
For sure.
That stuff does not breathe.
Oh, you sweat so much, dude.
it's
You might
brutal.
as well be in the rain all day. It doesn't. It's pretty much the same thing.
All right, so no Mount Rushmore, no special segments this time. We're an hour and 45 minutes in. Jason's got to go play with Sloan, go play with Sloan. Jason's been gone a lot this year. Thank you guys both for getting on here. And I mean, the news was hinted at. We'll drop the news. We're gonna be joining the Two Planker Network. This is big news. Big news. So shout out Ethan.
Money.
Yeah, big money moves over here.
Big money.
So we're gonna be joining the Two Planker Network. You'll be able to find us there. You can find us where you've been finding us before. But just trying to get more people listening to us talk about nerd contest skiing. So,
Even it'd be cool if a few people less listen to us.
yeah, make it less.
We got to make it more core.
Yeah, super core. We are super
So
core.
underground.
That was my one shout out before we go. The Rise events, Lars and Dave and Barkley, what they did doing a core premiere up here in Tahoe. Jason, you supported that, sending a bunch of stuff from Surface, Joystick, Coswell. And what they did playing movies that are core movies from all over. It was really fun to go to. They had it up at Evo here. I haven't been to a premiere in a while that I felt was a premiere. it was a premiere. It was fun. The raffles were great, and everyone enjoyed it. Shout out to them. I got a Boreal season pass. I went home and took the main prize of the raffle, and
Come up.
yeah, so big throwback. I'll be at Boreal. Catch me at Boreal. But again, thank you guys. Yep. Thank you guys, and we'll be back definitely sooner than last time. Sorry for the
There's
wait.
no way we could take longer of a break and people still think we're alive. So thank you guys all.
And hopefully we'll get Noah Curry back on the next one, joining
Gotta get
Garrett.
Doug on there. Maybe we get Kai on there to tell the proposal story as well.
We should get Kai on too. He said that in his Mayran podcast that he hasn't been on.
Not included. I get
Yeah.
it.
All right. So thank you guys so much, and we're out.
Hell yeah.
This is where you freestyle, Garrett.
Come on, G Money. You got
I'll
it.
think of one for the next one.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not a freestyle if you practice it.
Come on, Sacktown. Rap about Sacramento, dude.
What do I say? All right.
Bridge. It's yellow. My name is G Money.